Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Why you should value your team and treat everyone equally. The answer can be found in our first story. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. The tale of the mistreated staff and their revenge. This story comes from a friend of mine. First, a little background. This takes place at a pizza place in a small town. My friend is female. It's important to this tale and to understand what happened. This pizza place was not a mom-and-pop place. It was owned by a guy 2 towns over and therefore was managed at arm's length. So now that you understand this, on to the story. This story begins 8 years ago. During those times, I was desperate for work. In a small town like this, there is slim pickings, so I was pretty happy when a friend told me how a delivery driver and a cook got fired. This leaves it open for me to jump in and fill in one of those spots, so I go down, fill in the application, get called for an interview. The GM for this place was a younger blonde-haired kid, unusually young for such a position, but I didn't think anything of it. Note, this kid had to be 19 minimum. The interview doesn't go well, though. The first thing that I noticed is that he seemed impatient. I found out he had another interview waiting already, this one sitting 2 tables over, and was a cute young girl who looked 16 or so. After rambling a bunch of non-job relevant questions, he bid me farewell. I didn't know what happened. It went by so quick. I found out later through my friend that the GM hired the cute girl on the spot. The interview only took 2 minutes. I was annoyed, but since I didn't work there, I didn't think anything further on it and continued my job search. I found out a week later that both positions had been filled both by younger girls. I learned this because my friend started ranting about things. She told me that the GM started to go easy on the cute girls and started to sabotage any of the less cute ones. My friend was among the cute ones, so she started feeling creeped out when the favoritism started turning into flirtation. He would purposely undertrain the new girls in certain things so he had an excuse to help any chance he got. After 3 of the older girls got fired, all under questionable reasons, then replaced, they all started talking. Even the new staff didn't like the way he treated them. So they decided to plan. My friend told me to keep an eye on the place during Memorial Day weekend. Every year, like a lot of places in town, everyone had a special deal or attraction. Sure enough, on the first day of their special Memorial Day weekend event, all of the girls showed up. In theatrical fashion, they lined up at the front counter, all in front of customers, mind you, took off their hats and aprons, and tossed them onto the ground. My friend said they actually planned this out. They then yelled in unison, "We don't work for pigs," and walked. It was glorious. I found out later he tried to do everything he could. He tried to make and serve the food on his own and made as many calls as he could to the girls. Each one gave him the big NO. In the end, he had to admit defeat and call the owner. I'm not sure about what happened to him after that, though. I can imagine he was fired. In such a small town, word of the event spread like fire. There was also a rumor that the owner paid the paper not to post a story, but I don't know if that's true. All I know is that a month later, things were back up and running with a new GM and a new well-rounded staff roster. The moral of the story is that the best way to get back at bad management is to create a mass walkout, something they never see coming. And for those bad managers out there, your workers are people too, and they will get you back if you push them. Bravo for them quitting like that in a town with slim pickings for jobs. And our second story. No, you get out and never come back. Before I begin, please note that I've worked in food service. Everyone involved in this story has worked in the food service/bar industry at some point in their lives, and I am a strict 20% or more tipper, regardless of service. So many things go wrong during a bad service experience that's either happenstance or coincidental that blaming the server is usually misguided at best and malicious at worst. All that said, this woman was a piece of work. A few years ago, I was involved at the theater company as a director and actor. Sometimes I'd help out with their fundraising, and we were gathering a committee together of about 8 people to meet at a bar/restaurant and chat through plans on a weeknight in Queens. To set the scene, it's a small bar grill, probably about 15 spots at the bar and 10 or 15 tables. The place was half full, and our group accounted for about a third of the patrons in the joint. Most of us were drinking, some of us were eating full meals, and a couple were only staying for a short while, so they just had water or a soda. The bartender was covering all the tables as well as the bar. You'd think that would make her busy, but somehow it didn't faze her. While we waited on refills and silverware, she was content standing by the bar and talking to her friend. The conversation with her friend would make it into the 10 to 15 minute territory, while all of us were doing our best to catch her eye when we needed another beer or someone new arrived. I had 2 beers in the evening, and I would have loved to have had 4 since we were there for a while. When we were able to get her attention, the bartender would shuffle over, take an order from one person, then turn and walk away. When someone would stop her and say, "Hold on, sorry, I need something as well," she would sigh loudly and turn back, all the while rolling her eyes and cocking her head to the side as if to say, "Fine." She didn't write anything down, she forgot drinks and meals, and she was all around the worst server any of us had ever had. Even after all this, I was still planning on tipping the standard 15%. That is, until she came over with the check, after another long conversation with her friend at the bar, threw it on the table and said loudly to our group, "The next time you guys come in here, everybody has to order something," before storming away. We were all dumbstruck. Our group accounted for probably half the money running through the place that night, and we would have been ordering a lot more from the bar if she'd bothered to check on us. The group decided unanimously to leave her a crap tip. None of us had ever been treated so poorly by a server. I left $1 or so. Many people left coins or nothing. The high point of the evening was when we were on our way out. She picked up the check off the table and yelled after us, "Oh, nice, fine, get the F out of here and never come back." As everyone in the entire place turned and stared, my friend went over to her and said, "I'll tell you exactly why we gave you what we did." But the bartender was having none of it, continuing to scream, "F you, get the F out." The revenge. That night, I went onto every restaurant review site I could find. Yelp, Greasy Spoon, some local New York City sites, you name it. I told the story in as many characters as the sites would allow. I was so steamed, I had to vent somewhere. I also found out the next day that multiple people from our group had done the same thing. It felt satisfying enough. At this point, I only thought of it as petty revenge. But soon, it would become pro. A few weeks later, I was talking with a friend of mine who'd got hired at this bar. I told him the story, and he said, "That was you guys?" I asked him how he knew about the incident. He told me that the bar owner took online reviews very seriously. When he saw all the terrible reviews come in on the same night with the same story, he knew exactly which bartender it was. She was fired the next day. I don't understand why people that are crap with others go into the service industry. It causes so many problems for everyone. Nice revenge. And our last story. Road Rage Karen. So this happened a few years ago, but will always remain one of my favorite memories. My older brother had joined the Marines and was stationed 2 hours away in a popular beach town for training. Being that my mom and I loved the beach, we traveled every so often to visit him on his weekends off. After a great visit with my brother, we decided to head home. This particular weekend, there was some huge classic car event in the town that brought people from all over. The result was Sunday bumper-to-bumper traffic on the freeway. My mom and I had left early, but still not early enough to avoid the traffic. My mom likes to leave a bit of room between her and the car in front as an extra bit of stopping cushion. Not enough that a whole car could fit between, but enough. So we're sitting in traffic, just talking about life, when the car behind us lays on their horn. We look at each other, wondering, what's that about, and turn to look at why the driver was honking. I stare straight into the eyes of ye old Karen, graying hair and a short bob and everything. This lady is glaring a death glare at our car, honking at us to move forward. Seriously? When I say this traffic was bumper to bumper, I mean it. Any movement from my mom wouldn't have been more than an inch. Apparently that inch we weren't moving was enough to trigger Karen's road rage. Mom and I look at each other in shock, asking, where does she want us to go? She mouths B at us, and we decide to get petty AF. Since the slow lane is also the lane cars merge onto, and this lady literally couldn't move around us, we began waving cars in front of us, purposefully slowing down to leave plenty of room for a car or 2 or 10 to merge into the freeway ahead of us. Every time a car thanks us and pulled ahead of us, we high-five each other in full view of Karen. We've got the music blasting, windows down, we're laughing and high-fiving each other left and right, waving much more grandly than needed, and smiling at each driver that's smiling back at us. We even made sure to look back at Karen and smile. She sat, stewing in her car and calling us every name under the sun. Eventually, the lanes merged into one lane, and my mom and I took an exit towards home that had very few cars. Meanwhile, Karen's route took her on the same road that most of the other cars were headed down, which meant she still had to deal with bumper to bumper while we cruised on home. It was the most enjoyable traffic jam I've ever been in. We need more people like you in the world. I bet you also brighten those other drivers' days. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.